There we go. Thank you, Tiff. And we'll jump over and say a quick hello to Mel, and we'll find out what Mel's going to be showing us.
Hi, Jess. Hi, everyone. So today I've been playing around with making some condensed milk out of coconut and water and maple syrup, and then I've turned that into a caramel sauce. So I'm going to be showing you that today.
Beautiful. Thank you, Mel. I look forward to seeing that as well. And we will jump over and say hello to Heidi if she's ready, and Heidi's going to tell us what she's going to be showing us.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Hello. Thanks, Jess. I'm going to make my very first favourite staple that I'm always making every week, and that will be the cashew milk, which is my favourite lazy cashew milk because there's no straining or anything, which is a big thing for me. It's just soak the cashews, chuck it all in, whiz it up, and bang, you've got the best, creamiest milk ever. So I'll show you that really quick recipe. And after that, I'm going to show you it's a newer recipe for me, making sour cream, dairy-free sour cream, out of the Quickie Cooking Book, which is available from the Mix shop. It's not on the collections in Cookie Do, I believe, but she's got amazing recipes for gluten-free, dairy-free. I just love this book, and as you can see, it's been quite weathered already. So the sour cream was a new one to try for me, and yes, it's been quite exciting.
Excellent. Thank you, Heidi. Look forward to that. And I'd love to hear in the chat box if you guys have got that book that Heidi has just told us about. The Quirky Cooking book is basically a Bible if you are dairy-free, gluten-free. If you don't know about it, let us know. We'll get you the name because you definitely need that book. So it's a good one. But there's stacks in Cookie Do as well, obviously. Now I'm going to say spotlight you, Laura. Thank you, Heidi. And Laura's going to tell us what she's going to be making. We've got a busy day today.
Hello. So I am going to be making something from our new cookbook. It's called One Whole Cauliflower, and just slicing up the cauliflower now so I can show you the other parts. But yeah, so it's gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan meal. So yeah, I'm excited to show you that.
Awesome. And Laura, that's from the new cookbook, isn't it?
Yeah, yep. So I can show you, just got it open here. So this is the recipe I'm using. So that's what it looks like. And this is the new cookbook. So that was released for our 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's my first time cooking something from out of it. So I'm very excited to use it.
Excellent. Actually, Laura, that was the first dish I've made from that book as well. There you go. All right. Thank you, Laura. And we might make a start. Just a moment. I'll spotlight myself just for a moment. So we've just met everyone, and we'll let in that one more person. Alrighty, so I just wanted to give a little bit of an overview. Many of you I know have had your Thermomix for a long time. You've probably been making some dairy-free, gluten-free things already, which is awesome, and hopefully you'll pick up some tips from us today. And if you would like to share your tips, please pop them in the chat box. And if you'd like to go one step further and you'd like to join us, our team, and present at future presentations, then let us know, because I can give you some info on how you can be a consultant and you can work from home. I actually do it full-time. This is my only job. This is my full-time business, and members of our team do it part-time, casually, you know, around the kids. So it's pretty flexible. So if you'd like to look into that, we've got a great starter pack available in July. It's worth over $300. It's only $62.50. So if you'd like to join our team, we can welcome you to our team. So that would be lovely. If you'd like to know further info, we can stay and chat at the end. So let's get started. Now, if you are just new at dairy-free and gluten-free, there might be lots of ingredients that are sounding a bit unusual to you. You'll be hearing things like xanthan gum, and what else? You'll be using arrowroot flour and quinoa. You might be using psyllium husks and millet, and making your own sort of gluten-free flours. So, and you might hear some other ones like sorghum flour and potato starch and all those kinds of things. So we'll talk to you a bit more about ingredients as we go on. And today we've tried to keep things simple, or whatever we've got in our homes during lockdown. So we will start with Tiff. We're going to hear all about the coconut yogurt. So we'll go over to Tiff now, if Tiff's ready. Tiff does have a small baby. And I can see that Tiff's not in front of her Thermomix. So oh, there she is. There we go.
I didn't want to get the yogurt out until it was needed.
Yeah.
So yes, I have researched and made coconut yogurt. I followed a recipe from the recipe community, but there is a similar one just called coconut yogurt on cookie dough. The recipe community one is called the creamy coconut yogurt, and Karen Barth has a good video on Facebook as a consultant. You can just Google Karen Barth creamy coconut yogurt and she explains how to make it. So this is my yogurt. It made this much. It's just under a litre, about 800 grams of yogurt. And you can either use coconut cream in a can, or you can make your own coconut cream. Cookie Dough have a recipe for coconut cream as well as coconut milk. And the Cookie Dough recipe you use 1 400 gram can of cream and 1 400 gram can of the coconut milk. The AYAM is probably one of the least preservative. It's got not much other than coconut in it, so it's probably one of the best ones to use, and it's pretty cheap. I used 1 coconut cream and 1 coconut milk because that's what I had in the house, so I was happy that the Cookie Dough recipe actually showed that, because I didn't have Karen Barth's goes by the 2 coconut cream cans, and hers is very thick. So she shows you how to cook it and she steps you through the process, which I found really useful because she tells you things like the tapioca starch. If you add it, you can add 1 to 2 teaspoons. She adds tablespoons. She adds 3 tablespoons, and hers is really thick. So if you really like thick Greek yogurt, then add the 3 tablespoons. I only added 2, and I think it's pretty thick. I wouldn't want it any thicker than this. You can also use the coconut cream, coconut milk, tapioca starch, and they ask for something called agar-agar, which Jess was just talking about, weird ingredients. I have heard of agar-agar, but I hadn't bought any. I thought I had, but luckily I had bought some natural gelatin. It's a really good brand from the Nutra Organics. It's really good for your gut health. So it's a very healthy gelatin. And I used that instead of the agar-agar. The recipe on the recipe community tells you either agar-agar or the gelatin, how much to use. And I think that was 1.5 teaspoons of that. And then, so you mix up the coconut, the tapioca, and you heat them to 100 for 5 minutes on speed 5. And then you add the gelatin and the tapioca starch. You leave it until it cools down for about 2 hours. I put mine in the fridge because it was a cool day. It cooled down quite quickly. It was probably more like 40 minutes. It got to about 37 degrees you want it. You don't want it being hotter than that, because next you have to add probiotic capsules, and they won't survive if you add it at too hot of a temperature. So I'll just show you what ones I used. I'll just grab them. So I've got these, the Blackmore's Probiotics Immune Defense. You've just got to look for one with, I think it said over 40,000 of the probiotic live lactobacillus or whatever they are in them. And then you just take the capsule. Once it's at the cool temperature, you take 2 capsules and you just twist them until they're open and pour into. And then you leave it. You can actually, I'll wake up my machine while I'm talking. Once you put the capsule in, you have to mix it so you make sure that the probiotics have mixed all through the yogurt. And then once you've got that, have I forgotten any ingredients? I'm just trying to think. So those ingredients would be for a very plain coconut yogurt. If you want sweeteners, you can add maple syrup or coconut sugar. Obviously, the darker the sugar, the darker the yogurt's going to be. The maple syrup didn't seem to colour mine very much. I also added some vanilla essence as well, some vanilla paste, actually, bean paste, to add to make it a vanilla coconut yogurt. It still tastes quite coconutty. It's not, I could probably have added a little bit more vanilla to take away the coconut flavour. So once you've added all the ingredients, the important part on your machine, I don't know if you're going to be able to see, my screen looks a bit bright now. You can swipe and find your, down here, fermentation. So once you click on the fermentation mode, it selects 8 hours, 70 degrees and fermentation. This is if you want to pour your yogurt into little pots and put it in your varoma dish and ferment it on top of your machine, because cooking at the water at 70 degrees will mean that your varoma dish is at 37 degrees. But we want our actual bowl. Well, that's what I used, and that's what Karen Barth suggested. We want the bowl to be 37 degrees because I left my yogurt in the bowl to cook. I found it easier than separating it into jars. So you can actually change the temperature here down to 37, which is the lowest it will go for the fermentation. And then it ferments in there for 8 whole hours. And then we have our yogurt at the end, but mine was very liquidy. I was a little bit worried about mine when it came out. It was very runny. And then I realized gelatin doesn't set until it's cold. So I put it in the fridge overnight and it was set, and it's lovely, and it's a great texture as well. Another one of Karen's tips was, once you've had it in there for 8 hours, when the 8 hours ends, you can blend it again to make sure it's all mixed in and creamy together, rather than it might have like a separation on the top. So you mix it in together and then pour it in your container and pop it in the fridge overnight to cool down, or for a couple of hours if you've done it overnight and you want to eat it later in the day. And that's your coconut yogurt. Beautiful. I was pretty lucky. It worked really easily. I found it an easy recipe, and I'm definitely going to do it from now on, because I've been buying the shop-bought coconut yogurt because I have yogurt every morning, and it's normally cow's yogurt. And I am loving that I can make my own for such a cheap price.
That's awesome. Thank you for those.
Cheap.
Thank you for those tips, Tiff. That's great. And I remember being a bit confused as well when I started with the fermentation mode and not knowing which temperature. So Yeah, 37 degrees if you're cooking your yogurt in the bowl, and then 70 degrees if you're cooking in jars or a thermo server in the Varoma. Is that what you found? Was it 70 degrees?
Yes.
Yeah. Great. Thank you for all of those tips. And if anyone's got any questions, please pop them in the chat. And you've given a nice shout out to Karen Bath. So we'll pop her link. I might find her link and email that to everyone as well, because it is a great video.
It is. It's a very handy video to watch for something that you're not 100% sure about making.
Yeah. And in future, once you've made it a stack of times, you'll be able to make a new video for us.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. And enjoy your coconut yogurt and your journey on your new journey with dairy free. So thank you so much, Tiff. We'll see you a bit later on, hey?
Thank you, Jess.
Thank you. And we're going to fly over to Heidi's house. Thank you, Heidi.
Hello. Am I unmuted?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hello again. Yes, so I'll start off with my cashew milk. With my cashew milk, it was a bit of a journey. A few years ago, I had to go dairy free, and I was buying cartons upon cartons in the shops of almond milk and coconut milk, and all tasted watery and kind of awful. Felt bad for the cartons, bad for the money, and thought I've got to make something that's easy and that's better tasting. And I found it. This cashew milk is just the most amazing, simple, easy milk you can make. No straining at all. And so without fussing, I'll just go straight into it. Very simple. 1 cup of cashews. Got to be a little bit organised. Got to soak them for at least 3 hours, not more than 6 hours. Cashews don't need as much as other nuts. So yeah, these have been pre-soaked. They're soaked for about 4 hours. So that goes in together with a cup of water, about 250 mils, just filtered water. That will get a bit of a whiz around for about 20 seconds just on high. So prepare for a little bit of noise, just about 20 seconds.
Power of our Thermomix, hey? We can crush anything. And luckily Zoom cuts the sound for us. I've been doing lots of milling in my house today as well, but didn't have the Zoom cutting the sound out for me. So Heidi's whizzing up some coconuts, some cashews and water.
Okay.
All done.
Right. Yes, so we've done our first whiz. Now all we need to add is 40 mils of sweet. Well, I use the maple syrup sweetener. I just find it really light, pleasant flavour. I suppose you could use a Rapadura sugar or stevia maybe. I've never tried stevia, but you could sweeten with something else if you wish. Some people don't bother sweetening at all. I do put 40 grams of maple syrup in. Then the only last ingredient again is the more filtered water. So 750 mils of filtered water just on top. And once again, 10-15 seconds, just power it on high.
Now I might pop a recipe into the chat box for you guys, cashew milk from from Cookie Dough, but Heidi's going to show you that she doesn't actually strain it like the recipe. It's so creamy, you don't actually need to strain it, which is a really easy and time-saving method.
I've tried some really amazing nut milks with almonds and they're beautiful, but the extra straining feature just in a busy day just doesn't cut it for me. So this cashew milk, it's beautiful enough to drink just as is. Makes the best hot chocolates. It's beautiful, creamy, really lovely. You shake it up a little bit when you take it out of the fridge, just to, it does separate out a little bit in the fridge, but yeah, just give it a bit of shake about in the bowl that you put it in. And yeah, beautiful in my coffees, hot chocolates, really nice.
Awesome. Thank you. And do you reckon that lasts about 3 days, Heidi?
I'd say 5 days. 3 days maybe as a generalised rule, depending, I suppose, the cleanliness of all your jars and things. I can usually go 5 days.
Yeah.
But it doesn't
Okay.
usually last that long in my house anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're going to hear from Deb a bit later on as to what we can do with those dairy-free milks, actually. Yeah. Now, were you going to show us the sour cream?
Yes, so this one's slightly more new for me. I discovered it not so long ago. I thought, I must try that. So who doesn't love sour cream in their stroganoffs and in their Indian curries? So I thought I'd give it a good try. And this is also, this is out of that quirky cooking book that I mentioned. I've pre-weighed all the ingredients out. I've pre-soaked the various nuts and things. I hope I've soaked them for long enough. I should have perhaps soaked the almonds a bit longer. We'll see how it goes. If it's a little bit grainy at the end, we'll see. That'll be my fault. What I also made for today was a nice onion salt. I needed onion salt for the recipe. And we had some old manky onion salt in our pantry, and that was full of fillers and anti-caking agents and things. And I thought, no, let's make our own. So with the ingredients that I had, I sort of, I don't know, cobbled together out of a few different recipes, something that I've called my homemade onion savouring sensation, salt sensation. Really easy, out of rock salt, onion flakes, some dried fried shallots, which I found in my cupboard, some dried seaweed, which gives it a real umami, lovely flavour, and just a little bit of garlic granules in there, which I pulverised up very quickly, and it was so good. And I'll be making that recipe again. I'll be putting that into my little recipe book, that one. I can write down in the comments afterwards at the end if you like.
Oh, I love it. Is this part of your new cookbook, Heidi?
The one I haven't written yet, yeah. Yep, so I've got the fancy jar with the fancy label. I'm sure it will sell. Anyway, yes, it was amazing seaweed salad mix. I've never found that one before. Don't know, it's possibly back to front. But yes, packed full of nutrients, good old dried seaweed, iodine, which we all need in our diets. All right, so I'll move along. This recipe I don't know off by heart, so I will cheat a little bit and look in my wonderful book. So we start off with some blanched almonds, 100 grams, soaked, rinsed and drained. So have done all that, that will go in. Next we need 50 grams of sunflower seeds, also soaked, rinsed and drained. Sunflower seeds don't need to soak for as long. I think 8 hours is usually ample for that. Almonds do like, I don't know, closer to 18 hours, and it didn't get that. Unfortunately, today I was running short of time. Okay, so those will go in. Basically add all the ingredients. It's a really complicated recipe. So place all the ingredients in the mixing bowl. So we're up to the 1/4 teaspoon of onion salt, my amazing onion salt. In fact, I've got all the dry ingredients into my bowl already. I've got the 2 teaspoons dried onion flakes, which I was a bit surprised at. Then 1 teaspoon of savoury yeast flakes, which gives it a nice umami, cheesy sort of a flavour in there as well. And to make it a bit more sour, I suppose we've got 40 grams of lemon juice, freshly picked from my garden today. And then also 200 grams of the filtered water drops again. So, very complicated. I like these complicated recipes. And put the lid on, like so. 1 minute and 30 seconds, speed 5 to 8, increasing the speed gradually. So, sorry, Jess, 1.5 minutes. I'll be.
Yep. No
powering
worries.
away here. Excuse me,
yep.
1.5 minutes.
We'll see you in a moment.
See you in a moment.
I thought I could hear a dog drinking water, but and I think I was right. I saw a little doggy walking past. I think Heidi's dog has the same name as my dog. So Heidi was mentioning a little bit about nutritional flakes. I thought I may as well talk about that for a little minute while her sour cream is blending. And like what Deb mentioned at the beginning about bulk foods, it's really handy buying things in bulk. So you might find yourself, if you're just new to this diet, you might find yourself needing to go to a health food store or a bulk store. I like going to Go Vita here in Mount Barker. And I also buy a lot online in bulk. So that's where I must have got this, I think. I might have got it from Go Vita. Often those bulk stores will give you a discount if you take your jars in. So Go Vita this month, they're giving 10% off if you take your jars in to refill, which is awesome. And if you're getting in bulk, you're saving the plastic and as well, and you're always going to have it on hand, which makes things much more convenient when we're in situations like this. Now, Heidi is done. That was a quick.
Okay, I'm done. Now, I think it's a tiny bit grainy. I think the almonds could have benefited from a little bit more soaking. But I'll probably just scrape it down, give a bit more of a whiz, see if I can creamy it up some more. And once that goes in the fridge, it will become a bit thicker again. You can dollop it onto your, well, we're having Indian tonight, we're having tandoori, so I'll be putting mine on my tandoori Indian. But
Yum.
Very nice. It's slightly different to regular full cream milk sour cream, but really, really nice, worth eating in its own right.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I actually really want to have a taste. It looks great.
Really hard to make.
Thank you. Thank you,
No
Heidi.
worries.
And we did have a question, were these TM6 recipes we're doing today? Everything can be done in all models pretty much that we're doing. So all of Heidi's were in all models. And also Tiff was talking about the fermentation mode. We can give you further instructions on how to do that in the TM5 and the TM31. So yeah, all recipes we're doing pretty much you can do in any model. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Heidi. And we're going to go over to Deb, our special guest who isn't from the Flying Thermingos, but has a lot of knowledge. So take over, Deb.
Hi all. I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I wanted to really highlight an actual function. For those that may have had older models, especially the TM31, it's probably the first thing you get taught is your Thermomix used to come with a magnetic, Jess, can you remember that? A little quick function reference. I wish they'd still bring them out for customers.
Yeah.
Just giving them a guideline. And there's the function which we call the thickening or blending on the TM6. And I've always just known, and I don't actually use the function on the TM6. I still do my 7 minutes, 90 degrees, speed 4. And this particular function, especially when it comes to dairy-free meals, especially if you've got children, can do so many different recipes just based on that option. So what I'm going to do, I've got my 2 machines set up. I'm going to go to both and they're going to be cooking simultaneously. And so we're going to be doing a savoury on one using that function. And then I'm going to show you what I normally used to do at my demonstrations. I would make custard slightly a bit different. And with the custard, on that model, what I actually do, it no longer becomes a custard in itself, it becomes a dessert. So it almost tastes like a cake, mousse and custard all combined together. And it's obviously all dairy-free and gluten-free. But on this one, I've got this book. I'm very into adapting recipes from other cookbooks. I'm a huge cookbook lover. And on this one, there's this, you probably can't see it. I don't know if it goes backwards, Jess, but it's creamy broccoli pasta. And my kids absolutely love it. And I guess when we come to the white sauce, which is what people typically know, the 7 minutes, 90 degrees speed 4, they don't realise by switching out certain ingredients, you can get all different types of sauces, whether it's your bechamel, whether it's a cheese sauce. Last night we had a rosé type sauce. So that's when you're combining tomato, wine and your cream. So instead of using cream, I'm using my white bechamel sauce to incorporate that. And on this turn, I'm trying to really get green vegetables into my children. So anyone who has kids who probably don't like green kind of vegetables, this may be a really, really good recipe to do, and they won't even know how many green items you've actually packed into it. I'm just in regards to what Heidi was saying with the milk, and I just wanted to talk about making your own nut milk. This is my almond milk. Now, my tip is I actually don't utilize my almonds for my almond milk making. I like to reserve my almonds for cooking or for salads or to eat or whatever. And I buy in bulk blanched almond milk. And the benefit of blanched almond milk is it's better for if you're doing sweet baking. So I know you can get it natural meal, but if you really want to get really good cakes and sponges and so forth, it's best to buy blanched almond milk. And when you're part of a bulk order, I buy it in like a 5 kilo bag. And basically we put about, my husband makes this up, he would put about 70 to 100 grams of the almond milk, and then we add the, he adds a sweetener, like a date to it, and water, and blitz it up. Now, we don't need to strain this because it's done with the mill. And because the mill is so fine, we don't find that we need to get our nut bag to strain it. But the other thing I wanted to talk about with the nut milk is obviously a lot of people raise the concern that with non-dairy milk, you're not getting the nutritional value that you could get if you have cow's milk. So I like to add my vitamin D, my your vitamin D drops that you can get from a naturopath or from a chemist. I will put them in my milk. I will sometimes, we put MCT powder. I don't know if anyone's heard of MCT oil. I don't know if many people know you can get MCT powder. Now, this is why my milk doesn't separate. I put a teaspoon of that in it. It gives it that creamy consistency. It's giving them more nutrients, I guess. It's giving those good fats as well. And it's obviously not allowing the milk to separate when you store it in the fridge. So that's something to think about. And sometimes I'll put a bit of natural vitamin C. So whether it's kakadu plum, camu, or areola, I will put a little bit of that into it. I'll just increase the sweetness just a little bit to disguise the flavour for the kids. So that's my tip when it comes to almond milk. Now, I've done part of the step beforehand, but I'll just tell you what I did. I actually heated up 250 grams of water on my Varoma setting, and I put a tablespoon of vegetable stock in it, and I had my broccoli already pre-cooking for about 5 minutes, just to already pre-cook the broccoli. I'll add this in just before I go to blend my ingredients all together. So what we're going to start with is we're going to cook up. So I'm adding garlic. You could add garlic powder to this recipe if you don't have garlic. I tend to use whatever I've got available. So,
Deb, you're showing us the sauce that you're going to create, aren't you? Yeah, awesome.
What I like to do is I like to cook the garlic in the oil, and if I was making the rosé sauce, I would chop up the garlic, put in the tomato, put in the wine and the oil, and cook that for 2 minutes, and then I do my bechamel sauce all in, so it's all incorporated all together. So at the moment with the green sauce, I'm just going to be adding some garlic and some olive oil, about 2 tablespoons. I'm not much of a measurer, so this will be helpful for those that don't like to measure. I always think there's some people who like to follow steps right to the get-go, but if you're wanting to know, it's probably about between 20 to 30 grams. I'll put that on for 2 minutes.
So Deb, with the rosé sauce, how many tomatoes would you whack in?
Yeah, sorry. So with the tomato, you could already, I make my own passata sauce and I always keep it. So I would be adding 70 to 100 grams of the passata in the bowl with this step. And I would be adding, if you wanted to pimp it up, you could even add a bit of chicken stock paste. That would give it a bit more oomph. Or if anyone remembers umami paste, you could add that then to kind of give it a bit more. And I would be adding your wine. So I added probably about 60 grams of red wine into here to cook it off a bit before I did the rest of the recipe. So then when I get to the next stage, when I add all the other ingredients, I for the red sauce, which I'll give you the recipe, I add like 400 of milk. It depends on if you've got feeding a large crowd, I would do 600 of milk. I add 2 tablespoons of savory yeast flakes, a teaspoon of salt, and I add, if you want the sauce to be thick, I will either use gluten-free flour, a tablespoon, or corn flour if you got. I don't like to, in my savoury dishes, use tapioca or arrowroot because you're going to get that stringy texture and it depends on the recipe. But if you were to take away all this savoury stuff and just do your milk, some savoury yeast flakes and some salt, some lemon juice and some agar-agar or gelatin and a bit of tapioca flour, you can make your own vegan mozzarella. So, and it's all on the same setting, 7 minutes, 90 degrees, speed 4. So I can make a cheese from it. I can make a bechamel. I can make a cheese sauce, or like I said, like a green sauce, what we're going to make now. You can even make just a garlic sauce. So if anyone's seen the Lala's chicken recipe, I don't ever do it with chicken and I don't ever do it the way that they say. I just do everything on my 7 minutes, 90 degrees, speed 4, and I fry up some prawns on the side and I make a garlic sauce to serve with rice. But it's basically using your chicken stock and almost like a bechamel sauce as well on that. So yeah,
I'll grab that recipe. I'll pop that recipe into the chat box. But I'm loving this. I'm loving how you're teaching us how to make our own sauces with that.
It's amazing because if you're on a budget or at the moment, say we're in lockdown, you can't get to the shops all the time, or you don't want to go out, so to speak. Just with your pantry staples, using the same setting and the same function, you could have about 6 different combinations of dinner and the kids will never know that it's literally the same dinner, just with different ingredients, if that makes sense. So that's why I like this. I'm a bit into Mother Hubbard type of cooking.
Now, Deb, did you mention already? Did you already say that sometimes you add pesto? Is that what you've said?
So normally here, I would even add pesto in it or stir it through at the end. If I've got some pesto or tapenade left, I will add it. I think it just boosts it, especially with this green one. You'll see at the end, when I blitz it, I've got some basil and parsley here that I'll blitz into the sauce at the end because I don't want to cook the basil or the parsley. I want to keep it fresh and have more nutrients. And what I've also done is I've left some of my broccoli to the side so it kind of sticks out from the sauce. Do you know what I mean? So it's not all sauce. So the broccoli here that we've cooked up, that's going to become part of the sauce. So what I'm putting in now, I don't know if you just saw, I'm putting in some Dijon mustard, and then I'm putting in 2 tablespoons of savory yeast flakes in that. And then I'm going to put in my chicken stock. So I'm wanting 250 of chicken stock. Well, not chicken stock, sorry, vegetable stock. Right, and then I'm going to put 300 of my almond milk. Then I've got here silver beet and kale. So I'm really trying to pimp up the greens in my kids' food. Okay. And we've got about a tablespoon of lemon juice in. And where's my salt? Got to get my salt. Hold on. So I put about a teaspoon of salt in that. Depends on how salty your vegetable stock is. We're a family who like our salt probably a little bit too much. So there we go. And all I do is my 7 minutes, 90, speed 4, and that will cook. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to take it over. Oh my gosh, Thermomix is switched off over here. I'm actually going to do the dessert. And this is why I love having two machines, that I can do my main and my dessert at the same time. So I can leave the kitchen. I'm just going to get the milk.
And this is great to see. We used to do this at demonstrations. We used to always make custard with this method, and we used to have to memorize every recipe, didn't we, Deb?
Yeah, and you know what I love is years ago, for a long time, I used to run like a coffee club. But what I'd like to do, because a lot of people get stuck on the basics, like they look at their everyday cookbook and they might make the sun-dried and cashew dip, or they might make a risotto, or they might make the custard, but they're not changing up the ingredients. And it's amazing that, like, you know, instead of them getting tired of the same thing, if they jazz it up or use different ingredients, maybe one's in season or a different combination, it just makes, you know, you relive or re-inspired and enjoy the dish, if that makes sense. So hold on, I'm just going to get a spoon.
And that's a bit like in our new anniversary cookbook. They've actually jazzed up some of the basics. So exactly what you just said. Yeah, great.
So now, like I said, I used to do this every end of every demo, even if the person didn't ask for it, because I'm telling you, this is a game changer. And if you want to really, especially for you non-Thermomix owners, and you know, there's always that conversation, oh, I can't get my partner over, I want them to be enjoy it. I generally find the men absolutely love this recipe. Okay, so I'm using coconut sugar. I'm only wanting about 60 grams. Even if I've got less, I don't mind, but, and I've got about 2 tablespoons of cacao, but my secret ingredient is half a block of dairy-free chocolate. Have you ever done that before, Jess?
Yeah, delicious. I love choc orange is one of my favorites.
Yeah,
whizzing up the orange zest and some cacao and custard, and then we serve it with some fresh orange slice on top. It's so
that
refreshing.
sounds good. Now, this is going to really clang around because obviously I put the chocolate in it. I just realised I missed a piece. I can't do that. And it doesn't have to be completely fine. It's just to help it not cling around. It will eventually melt anyway. It just makes it easier. I've actually got corn flour here. I know a lot of people would like to use tapioca or arrowroot. to me, custard is not the recipe to do it. It will give too much of a different kind of texture to what you kind of get in it. One thing, this is amazing frozen. If you have the patience to freeze this, it'll become the best chocolate ice cream.
Sounds like a great idea. And it is the basis, isn't it? Custard is the basis of ice cream. And we're going to have to swap over to our next presenter soon, Deb. But
oh, no, you can take it. So I'm just going to let you know, I actually do about 350 of my milk, my almond milk, and then I do 150 of coconut to give it a bit of creaminess. So I'll get these cooked and you can come back later. And I use 2 eggs.
Yeah, awesome. So you're just popping all that in, and then you'll do your magic 7 minutes, 90 degrees feed flour. Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much. Lots of gold there, Deb, and everyone's enjoyed that. We'll come back to see the finished product in a moment, and we are seeing Mel next with the caramel sauce. We're going to see Laura with her cauliflower dish, and I'm going to quickly give you some tips on pizzas as well. We'll go a little bit over because I think I was a bit slow at the beginning as well. But if everyone's okay, we'll go till about 5:15 if that's okay with you guys. Thanks, Mel.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Jess. I've got to know, I'll be nice and quick, so we might catch up a little bit. So my recipe, I just stumbled upon by accident, and it was just using some coconut, which the last lockdown I ended up buying 10 kilos of coconut, shredded coconut. So these are the really nice long bits, no additives, which is great. And I thought, well, this would be a good chance to use up some of that coconut that I thought I was going to use heaps of. So what I started with was adding some coconut to my Thermomix, and then I added some water. Well, first of all, I milled the coconut, and then I added some water, and then I blended it on speed 9. Then I strained it with one of these bags, and I made a thick sort of coconut milk, so coconut cream, I guess. Then what you can do after you've done that is you can put your coconut back in to the Thermomix, add another 500 grams of water, blitz it up again, strain it, and then you'll have coconut milk, so a thinner version for smoothies and stuff. And you can also freeze your pulp, what's left in the bag. You can freeze it and then blitz it up and make coconut flour as well. So really no wastage in this, which is absolutely awesome. So after we've made our coconut milk or cream, thick coconut milk, it's what this came out as, we add 100 grams of maple syrup. So once you cook that for an hour, if there's the 2 ingredients, that will give you the condensed milk. But then I went on to the next bit, which was even more awesome, the caramel sauce, which I was kind of dubious. Like, I didn't have many ingredients and stuff, but all I needed to add to what I already had was some vanilla extract, not essence, so some vanilla extract, some salt, which again I buy in bulk, and being a consultant has helped me get things in bulk with the commission, so thanks again, Thermomix. And 1/8 of a teaspoon of bicarb, and then we've just let it cook on for 60 minutes, 100 degrees, 3.5, speed 3.5, and we're putting the simmering basket on top. So I made one yesterday just to test it out, and I actually thought it was quite good, but now that I've made the new one, I realise this isn't the best. So you can kind of see it's still nice and
It looks
running.
tasty.
Yeah, it actually was awesome. I was really stoked with that yesterday, but I also thought I've got lots of cans of coconut cream in the fridge, so I thought I might give it another go because we ate quite a lot of the first one. I wasn't sure if I'd have any left to show, so I whipped one up last night just using a can of organic coconut cream, same deal, but I'm not sure if I put the basket on top, and I'm not sure that I put it on the right speed, but I did have a little fail. So that's what happened the second one, not using the coconut cream in a can. So
Wow.
not quite sure what happened there. But
Which recipe, sorry, Mel, which is it cookie dough that you're doing the caramel sauce?
Quirky cooking.
Yep.
It's called, I knew that I should have pronounced this earlier.
I'll look it up. I've done this one. It's delicious.
Delish. That sounds quite good though.
Yeah.
So it's actually on my page, Jess, on my personal page. I was going to send a link to the group, but my computer's not working.
That's all right. I'll bring it up.
So I've had this one cooking for an hour and a half before we started, and this one has actually, so I've also stopped it a while ago, so look how thick this one is. Whoa. So this is like so thick.
That's thickened up a lot.
Yeah, so that was just made with the coconut and the water and kept going. And I think the trick is putting the basket on top and making sure you've got it on speed 3. And I really like this recipe because you've got no wastage with the coconut, and it's just stuff that we've got in the pantry. So, you know, it's kind of a bit of a science experiment, really, like, you know, 3-4 ingredients and we've got caramel sauce. So this one cooks for quite a while, so I'm not really showing any cooking today, but you can see what I've done.
No worries. Yeah.
I've just served it on, I thought, you know, what else is gluten-free, dairy-free? And the torta caprese, I thought, was a good one. So I've just made little muffin size ones that will have the caramel sauce on top. I'm not sure.
Beautiful. You could use that on sticky date puddings as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome.
So there you go.
That looks really good, doesn't it? And like you said, a few ingredients can get you.
Yeah, I was so impressed with that. Like, just a few ingredients that were in the cupboard, and like Deb was saying, you know, being in lockdown, we just want to use what's in our cupboards, and it was nice to have a nice sweet treat with very few ingredients.
Lovely. Thank you, Mel. And that torta caprese, that one is in everybody's basic cookbook. So I'm just searching it up now. If you haven't done it, it's a great one that will be gluten-free. You can make it dairy-free by I actually substitute coconut oil instead of butter. Some people will use Nuttelex as well. I'm just going to pop that in here, the cake that Mel was sharing, and I've popped the caramel sauce into the in there as well. It's a lovely bowl. It looks like one of Heidi's bowls.
My favourite bowl at the moment.
And I reckon a little dob of something white would be great too.
Yeah, well, I did have ice cream with it the other night, but I thought we're doing dairy-free.
No worries.
I might have to pinch some from someone else's house. That would go quite well together, wouldn't it?
Exactly. I'm going to pop
coconut yogurt.
Yeah, the coconut yogurt that Tiff made. We always have this problem, don't we, ladies? Thank you, Mel, for sharing that. It's a really tempting dish. I've popped another one if anyone's interested. Oh, just a sec. Oh, that's right. The links are in the chat box. There's 2 links there. The bottom one is actually a recipe I made up many years ago. It's a coconut cream. It's using actual real fresh coconut. So maybe we'll do another class later in the year when the young fresh coconuts are in season. But for now, thank you, Mel. And we're going to go see Laura, who's going to be showing us some lovely dairy-free, gluten-free things we could make for a dinner or something like that.
Hello. So I have, during this session, I've made beautiful roasted cauliflower. So this is the first part of the recipe, and it's you just sprinkle some paprika, salt, onion powder. I only had onion flakes, so I used those, and cumin. Sprinkle that on your cauliflower and bake it. Also got some kale here as well, and just a couple of tablespoons of just seeds. So I've used pepitas, sunflower seeds, and almonds, and they're delicious. Been trying not to eat it while I'm watching. But yeah, so with this, there's 2 different other little components that I'll make. One is a parsley sauce, and 2 is a cauliflower hummus. So while I've been here, I've been searching through my parsley from outside because there's often lots of little green caterpillars. So
We don't want to see one crawling up the screen again, Laura.
Yeah, that's it. So I've made sure, and my son, my 3-year-old, has made a little home for one, I found. But anyway, so there's no green caterpillars in here. So just some parsley from the garden, just a big bunch. And then 2 cloves of garlic in there. And some lemon zest. Now, I really love that my Thermomix allows me to just peel a bit of lemon rind, and it makes it into zest, which is so good. So that's all that's going in there. And I'm going to chop for 10 seconds. Whoops. 10 seconds and speed 9.
Now we've got a comment there from Joy that perhaps the green caterpillars would be good protein, unless you're vegan. Good point. So this parsley sauce is going to be a lovely dressing for that beautiful dish. It's actually a pretty fancy dish. It's really simple.
So there's our parsley. So I'm just going to scrape down the sides. Oh, actually, I might just do that again because my rind didn't. Oh, that's right. It'll be okay. All right. So, I love the smell of fresh parsley. So some olive oil. This is an Adelaide Plains olive oil, nice local one. How much olive oil? 50 grams. So I'll go over to my scales, weigh in 50 grams. There we go. 50 grams of olive oil, some lemon juice, so just half a lemon I've already squeezed there. Lemon juice and a bit of salt, just a little bit. So you just sprinkle in got some Murray River salt flakes. And then we're going to go 15 seconds, speed 10.
Now, I'm just looking up in Cookie Doo to see if this recipe is in Cookie Doo, but I think it might be one of them that's not released just yet. But this book is available, and soon all of the recipes from this book will be available on Cookie Doo.
Yeah, no, I did have a look before. So there's our parsley sauce. So I'll just clean this off.
And Laura, I did have a go at making this one a few weeks ago, and the flavour actually enhances, as often food it happens, doesn't it? The flavours enhance. Yeah. So you'll find tomorrow it'll be even nicer than it is today.
Ah, nice. That's a good tip. Fantastic. So, and now we're going to make a cauliflower hummus. So at the start of the recipe, you take a whole cauliflower and you cut it into slices about 1.5 centimeters thick. And then any of the florets that just fall off, you roast those as well, but then use some of them for the hummus. It's not got any chickpeas in it, so I'll pop in about 70 grams of the cauliflower. Oh, perfect. That's always good. And then a garlic clove. We want, it says ice cubes, which I'll do in a minute. So 50 grams again of olive oil.
I've noticed in a few of the hummus recipes recently on Cookie Dough, they're recommending ice cubes. We never used to. I'm just thinking it might help with processing.
Yeah, definitely. It could do. I just probably have very cold water because I didn't have ice cubes. So that's all right. I love this recipe because it doesn't use tablespoons, so it's using grams on the Thermomix, which makes it so easy. You don't have to dirty, all your tablespoons trying to work out measurements. You can just watch the screen, which is always handy. So this is tahini that I'm putting in. We eat quite a bit of hummus in our family, and the other day I made a different Thermomix recipe on Cookadoo that didn't use tahini, and it just used sesame seeds. So tahini is sesame seeds. But yeah, I just thought, oh, that's always a good alternative. If you don't have tahini, you can make your own. You can still make hummus with plain sesame seeds, and essentially it just makes them into tahini anyway, blitzing them up. Lemon juice. Got just a whole lemon squeezed there. And I'll just grab my ice cubes. I've got a bit of frozen water in here, which is good. I'll just scrape. So it'll be cold, which will hopefully have a similar effect. Maybe not, we'll see. I tried to freeze water in a thin container so that it would freeze more quickly. All right. Yeah, cool. And so you can pop a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper in there. And I'm just going to wash my lid.
And that's the great thing with hummus. We can do like beetroot hummus. So Laura's putting in some cooked cauliflower in hers, which will be great for a nutritional profile to change things up there. But you could put cooked beetroot, roasted pumpkin, roasted sweet potato, change things up, add some spices like Moroccan spice mix or something, can't you?
Yeah, definitely. So this is going to blend for a minute. Let's
so that was.
Do you want to pass it to you, Jess?
Yeah, sure. Just a sec. Oops. We might even see Deb quickly because I think she's got to show us what she's made.
Okay, so here I'd already pre-cooked pasta, so I've actually blended up all the sauce. So I added the bits of broccoli and the broccoli that I wanted to blend in the sauce with the basil and parsley. And I've got this much sauce left over, so this will even be able to do for another day for a lunch or something. So it's pretty cool that I had extra sauce. I just quickly toasted. I just wanted to show, I had some gluten-free bread I made up, and I just put some thyme and garlic and I fry it in the fry pan, and it gives it like a crumb. And I generally sprinkle this on top just to give it a bit of texture. Like sometimes it's all about, you know, especially for adults, if they're eating, they want a bit more of a texture to the dish, and it gives it a bit more flavour profile. And then we've got the custard. Well, the not so custard. When you eat it, even though it has the consistency of custard, it literally tastes like cake and mousse combined rather than just a standard chocolate custard. So that's me done, Jess.
Thank you, Deb. And is that because you used some almond milk and some coconut milk? What else different did you do in the custard? Sorry.
I used chocolate pieces instead of
chocolate pieces.
cacao powder.
Yeah.
And it is the combination of the coconut cream along with, you know, you can use the coconut milk you make. It's obviously not so, you know, more the watered. Like I do a combination. If you really want it like really dense and thick to put in cannellonis, I would go all out and I would do it all coconut milk.
Yeah.
But if I was just eating it myself personally, I would just do the combination just to not feel so heavy on the tummy.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being our special guest presenter, and I'm sure we could have many more cooking classes with you and your versatile.
Can I just say a tip? Going back, was it Tiff who did the coconut yogurt?
Yes.
Because I've got a milk protein allergy. Majority of my family do. You would be best to invest in a delactate-free probiotic. You generally need to, because you may find later on if you have too much, it kind of, well, if you start introducing to your like your little baby, it will need to be delactate-free probiotic rather than just a lactate probiotic.
Maybe you can give us. We might have to invite you to our secret Thermi Club on Facebook, and you can give us those tips in there.
Sorry, I've got a lot of allergies, so I fully understand, you know, that kind of thing.
Thank you very much.
Starting to realise that everything I'm taking, my breastfeeding supplement and everything, so that's really great to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Awesome. And we will cross over back to Laura and see what's going on with that cauliflower hummus.
Yes, beautiful. I just had
You're gonna love it.
So there's your cauliflower hummus. It's quite runny.
Yeah, it's like a nice sauce. It's like yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so this is the meal there. So
it's beautiful. It's a really lovely meal because there's lots of different textures, isn't there? We've got the some roasted greens. It even asks you to roast the cauliflower leaves and some seeds. So enjoy that, Laura. Thank you.
I will.
Awesome. Now I'll just mute that person. Okay, and we may as well cross over to me. We have gone a little bit over time. Sorry about that, but hopefully you guys are enjoying it, and I'm going to do a super quick one. Now, if anybody would like to see any of these in more detail, please contact us. One of us is probably your consultant. Otherwise, contact your consultant and ask them to teach you more about something, because we love learning and teaching. Now, Dana's asked what was the broccoli pasta recipe. We'll talk to you more about that, Dana, because I think you might have missed the beginning part where Deb was describing it. Basically, it was like a bechamel sauce, but with extra goodies packed in. So we'll talk more about that. And Deb said she will send the recipes to share. Thank you so much, Deb, for that. Now, my little piece is about, I wanted to focus on gluten-free flours. So I have been making some gluten-free flour on and off over the years. I've done gluten-free pizzas at demonstrations over the years. It's a great recipe in the recipe community. I'll forward to you. But I wanted to find the equivalent in cookie dough, because most of us are now using cookie dough, and it's super handy having guided. So that's what I did, and I'll email everyone the links rather than stopping now and putting it in the chat box. But basically, I found a pizza recipe that I'm happy with, and it got the approval from the 12-year-old that we have with us at the moment, and he said it was delicious, and he had 3 pieces. And he had the gluten-free muffins I made. So it was really good to get that feedback, positive feedback from the kids. So how I made that, I'll show you. First of all, we're going to make all-purpose gluten-free flour. It's from Cookie Dough. It is a US recipe, so it's in ounces. May as well. I've got it all set up to make, and it's only a minute, I think. So maybe... Actually, yeah, I'll show you. I'm going to show you some whizzing in case you haven't made your own rice flour and things like that. I'll show you how that happens. So we're going to make our own gluten-free flour. I've chosen this one because it doesn't have sorghum flour and potato starch. I don't have them on hand at the moment, and I didn't want to go to the shops. So 7 ounces of white quinoa. So I've got some quinoa. This was actually from the farmer's market. I'm going to pop that straight in, and some chia seeds. Again, if you've got the lighter colour ones, your flour is going to look lighter. Now, if you just want to purchase gluten-free flour, have it in the pantry, that is totally fine. The point of today is just to show you can do your own, and you can mill anything up. So this is some seeds, and I'm literally going to mill those for, am I going to mill those? No, I don't think we've got time to mill them. It's too noisy. But we're going to mill those, and we're going to then add some corn flour and some arrowroot flour. And you're going to end up with a flour of this consistency. So I'm not going to show you that part right now, because I want to show you the more interesting part, okay? But that is the flour we're going to get. And just earlier today, I was whizzing up brown rice and white rice into flour with millet and dried chickpeas, all into flour in my favourite bread recipe, which I've got proving in the oven. It's probably now over-proved. It's called the Chia and Pepita bread, and it's in your basic cookbook. We'll pop a link to that as well. If Donna's on, you can grab the link for us. Thank you. Chia and Pepita bread, and I'll show you mine in the oven. It's proving. As I said, it's probably over-proved, but that's okay. So imagine you've got your flour done. Then the next thing you're going to do is bring up a pizza recipe called Gluten-Free Pizza 2 Ways. That's the one I've got, Donna. And that one, you're going to be whizzing up a little bit of rice, just 70 grams. You're going to whiz a bit of this. So what I do is I always have rice on hand, and whenever I need rice flour for these recipes, I just whiz it up. And that way you're going to save your nutrition in there, and you're going to have it nice and fresh. Now, as I said before, if you want to buy your own gluten-free flour, that could save you some time as well, and there's no problem about that. But basically, this recipe is great. It's going to step you through, and you're going to use some of your gluten-free flour that you've just made. And these, just a sec, it's all right. I was going to give you another tip, but I'll leave that for the next the next one. But basically, you're going to get a mixture, and it's going to be a wet mixture. So you're going to use your hands, and you're going to spread it out on your tray. And you're going to let it sit for probably about an hour. It asks you to put cling wrap on it so that it can rise and that it's not going to go dry. I've got my little green reusable cling wraps and I put that on. I oiled it, put it on, and that worked a treat. I'll pop some pictures into our Thermi chat group on Facebook if you're in there. And what happened was, this is the end result. This pizza, so the dough worked beautifully. It is sticky. Use wet hands to spread it out on your tray. Let it rise, like I just said, and then you're going to top it. So I've topped mine with just tomato paste and a fair bit of the garlic and onion powder that I was enjoying on there, and some onion. I've steamed some spinach and boiled eggs on there. I've popped some Parmesan cheese. So as I said, we've got a visitor with us, and it's all COVID approved by SAPOL. And he said that this gluten-free, dairy-free pizza is yummy, and he had almost about half of a serving of this. It just has Parmesan cheese on it, which is the vegan one. It's in cookie dough, so we might get that link up there too. Parmesan, dairy-free Parmesan. So this is a dairy-free, gluten-free pizza, and it's kid approved. It has whole quinoa, so we whizzed up quinoa and chia. So you can't go wrong with that one. And with your flour that you can make, you can also use that in other things. So I just made some muffins, and again, they were approved by the 12-year-old as well. And yeah, these are, I'll pop the link to these in our email, but these were some raspberry muffins, and they are from gluten-free from Cookie Dough. So we'll do an info session if you'd like to learn more about how to search for gluten-free and dairy-free recipes in Cookie Dough. And of course you can substitute. So I'd love to give a little tip for substituting. You can basically substitute gluten-free flour into any regular recipe. If it's a cake, muffin, that kind of thing. We usually don't substitute gluten-free flour if it's a bread or a pizza. You kind of need a special gluten-free recipe for that. But if it's, say, banana bread and it's written for regular gluten flour and it's, say, 130 grams of flour, you can definitely use your gluten-free flour, substitute that. In fact, these ones used about 120 of butter. I actually just put coconut oil in. That's what I do. I put coconut oil in whenever I ask for butter if I'm trying to make it dairy-free. Now, I know Donna recommends Nuttelex. So if you've got Nuttelex, or if you've made your own vegan butter from Cookie Dough, you could give that a go. But unless your kids or yourself really doesn't like coconut flavourings, I think it's fine to substitute. So the torta caprese, I use coconut oil instead of butter. But you can use your own dairy-free butter version. Substitute it in, give it a go, and don't miss out on beautiful foods. And also know that you've got your Thermomix to whiz up things. And as I said, this beautiful soft flour was whizzed up from quinoa, rice, and chia seeds. I'll just grab my bread from the oven. Oh, now it's probably sunk. I was going to put it on at the start of the class, but I thought it'd be too noisy in the background because my oven's a bit noisy. This is the chia and pepita loaf that's risen for way too long. I whizzed it up because we want some gluten-free bread. I've popped it into our tray, our bread tin. That is a free gift with purchase this month. And I'm about to put a little bit of water on and then a few seeds, and then I'm going to bake that and we'll have our gluten-free bread. It's huge. And this is in your basic cookbook. And hopefully that is a few tips for you. If you do have any further questions, like I said, if you want to see things in greater detail, because this is just a mini session and we've gone way over time now. But if you want greater detail, let your consultant know, because we'd love to explore more with you and learn more with you and teach any tips that we've got. On Tuesday, we're doing a fermentation class. So I'm going to get my crock pot out. It's been sitting there behind my Thermomix for a while. I got it from the mix shop, and we're going to play with fermenting. We got a few fermentation gurus in our team, and as usual, I have certain skills in fermenting as well, but I'm not a pro and haven't been doing it recently. But we've got a few pros on board to give you guys some tips. That's on Tuesday at 5 o'clock. And I hope you guys can make it. The booking for that is in the same link that you probably used to come to today's class. So thank you for coming. Thank you to Heidi. I'm just going to replace Spotlight. There we go. Heidi's got something to show us. And you're muted, love. You're muted. You're muted, Heidi, but we can see your beautiful bowl. Looks delicious.
It's my Indian dinner, yes. Yes, Indian with my lovely sour cream that I made today.
Did you like it? You like the sour cream?
I do. I'd say it is different to the dairy, but it's so nutty and beautiful in its own right. And I suppose Indian uses so much in the way of nuts as well. So
yes. Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, Heidi. And Mel, thank you very much for playing around with your dairy-free caramel.
Thanks, Jess. And the last one is really so thick and awesome. So I feel like I've been doing a bit of science in the kitchen, but I would highly recommend trying this. So a couple of bowls have already gone out and it's pretty good apparently.
That would be great in tarts, wouldn't it? Or anything. That sounds great. Yeah. Thank you, Mel. Fantastic.
You're welcome.
And Tiff, we're going to cross over to you. What are you eating?
While I was waiting, I made a recipe that I've been wanting to make for a while. It's Nutella, no dairy Nutella.
Awesome.
Delicious, yeah. I found the recipe. It's so thick.
Looks great. Where's the recipe, love?
Sophia's Kitchen. And it's called, so it says N-O, Nutella.
Yeah.
But yeah, I roasted the hazelnuts the other day, and I thought, oh, just do it now while you guys are so I've got some on some toast.
That's what we did that earlier this week too. And when I was working, my daughter lived off the Nutella for a few days.
Well, that's one of the biggest things I miss is like chocolate, because of the dairy and the soy. A lot of things have them in, so to have it as a spread's pretty nice. And I made earlier in the week, I made this macadamia and hemp milk, and it's really creamy and really lovely. And you can sieve out the pulpy bits, but I don't mind them. And I use that in the Nutella instead of almond milk. And I'm using it now to make a hot chocolate from the Nutella with the milk. I don't like waste, so whenever I've got chocolate left in a bowl, I always add milk and cook it.
Definitely.
So
great
I'll add that
tip.
to my Thermingo rag.
Yay. And that's our Flying Thermingo cup from last year. We'll have to make another one for this year. Flying Thermingos, we survived 2020. Is that what it says? Yeah. Lovely. Thank you, Tiffany. It's so lovely working with you today. I was just looking up the hazelnuts chocolate spread in cookie dough, but I'll pop a link to that one in our email, which will go out on Monday. So it's a great one to do. I did the same thing, roasted the hazelnuts, and they sat for a few days, and then I turned them into the hazelnut spread. Looks delicious. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, and enjoy your little baby. Now, we've done Mel and Deb. Did we say goodbye and thank you to you? I'm losing track. Thank you very much.
Yeah, all my family have just eaten and devoured the pasta.
Oh my
I'm
God.
the only one who hasn't eaten.
You go and sit down. You go and sit down. And we'll see you another time. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I think Laura's busy eating as well. But yeah, thank you, everybody, for joining. We can't wait to, there's Laura. We can't wait to see you another time, everybody. You're eating yours. I hope you enjoy it. I should have given you the tip. I put too much garlic in part of mine. Have you found, is it too garlicky for you?
It's pretty garlicky, and I more garlic than they asked for.
Oh no!
But it's not too bad. It's pretty.
I only just remembered that I remember finding one part of it a little bit garlicky, but the hummus,
parsley sauce could go with less garlic.
Okay, lovely. Thank you so much for trying that out for us and sharing your tips as well. Have a great night.
Bye.
Okay, bye everyone. Thank you for staying a bit longer. We all got very excited with our dairy-free, gluten-free class and had lots to share. Tiff, you're muted. Are you talking to us?
No, it's just wave.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye,
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy. Pop your feet up and enjoy your evening. I've got flour on me. Has that been there the whole time? I'm gonna put my bread into the oven and hopefully it hasn't overrisen too much. We'll see. See everyone. See you next time.